Okay, guys, good morning. Again, my name is Chris Smith. I'm of Oklahoma City. I have the pleasure today to announce our speaker, the person doing the call. Her name is Patty Carson. She's out of Wilsey, Kansas. She normally uses the hashtag crazy or funny farm, I believe. She'll have to correct me on that since I butchered it. But always got awesome things going on at her funny farm up in Kansas. Her and her husband, I think, were having to fix a water line yesterday, so type of things you get to do on the farm. But Patty is a network marketing professional. She's been working in this industry for about 20 years, helping people achieve their goals, helping people with wonderful products. She was featured in Work From Home magazine a couple years ago. They come out to her funny farm and did a photo shoot and let her tell her story, and she was featured in this national publication, which was really cool. But that's what happens when you help a lot of people, when you have success. Patty also just hasn't done it in one company, but she's done this over and over again multiple times, which proves she really knows what she's doing. She wasn't a one-hit wonder. So we are very privileged and to have her on the call this morning and to be teaching us and talking with us. So with that being said, Patty, you're good to go.
Hey there, Chris. Thank you. I always think, is that really me when you say that? But I appreciate all the accolades. And, just to be real, we are on the hashtag funny farm. We live real life and crazy stuff happens all the time. And, yes, we're still working on that busted water line today. So, anyway, but we are in the book, 100 Ways to Motivate Your Life, Motivate Yourself and Change Your Life Forever, by Chandler, and we are on chapter 30, and I really like this one. It's called Perform Your Little Rituals. I don't know about you guys, but rituals get me through. So he says, see yourself as a shaman or medicine man who needs to dance and sing to get the healing started. Make up a ritual that is yours and yours alone, a ritual that will be your own shortcut to self-motivation. As you read through these various ways to motivate yourself, you might have noticed that action is often the key. Doing something is what leads to doing something. I'll repeat that. Doing something is what leads to doing something. It's a law of the universe. An object in motion stays in motion. The great basketball player Jack Twyman used to begin each practice session by getting to the court early and taking 200 shots at the basket. It always had to be 200 shots, which he counted out. And it didn't matter if he'd already felt tuned up after 20 or 30 shots. He had to shoot 200. It was his ritual, and it always got him into a state of self-motivation for the rest of the practice session or game. My friend Fred Knight, now an Emmy Award-winning television writer and comedian, does something he calls driving for ideas. When he has a major creative project to accomplish, he gets in his car and drives around the desert near Tucson until ideas begin to come to him. His theory is that the act of driving gives the anxious, logical left side of his brain something to do so that the right side of his brain can be freed up to suggest ideas. It's like giving your child some toys to play with so you can read the evening email on your computer. And in his book about songwriting, Right from the Heart, Jon Stewart writes about composer and arranger Glenn Gould, who had a ritual for finding a new melody or music idea when he seemed to be stuck and nothing was coming. He'd turn on 2 or 3 radios at the same time, all to different stations. He'd sit and compose his own music while listening to music on the 3 radios. This would short-circuit his conscious mind and free up the creative subconscious. It would overload the left side of his brain so that the right could open up and create without judgment. He says, my own ritual for jump-starting self-motivation is walking. Many times in my life, I've had a problem that seemed too overwhelming to do anything about. And my ritual is to take the problem out for a long, long walk. Sometimes I won't come back for hours, but time and again during the course of my walk, something comes out of nowhere, some idea for action that will quickly solve the problem. One of the reasons I think this ritual works for me is that a ritual is action. Starting a ritual is taking an action that leads towards finding the solution. The dancing medicine man is always, already doing something. Make up little rituals for yourself that will act as self-starters. They will have you in action before you get into action. Rituals always override your built-in hesitation so that you can get yourself motivated in a predictable, controllable way. If you are not a writer or a painter or a poet, you might be thinking right now that this does not apply to you. But that's what I would call the creative fallacy. In fact, your entire life is yours to create. There are no creative professions that stand apart from others like an exclusive club. Martin Luther King Jr. used to say, be an artist at whatever you do. Even you are a street sweeper. Be the Michelangelo of street sweepers. So I loved this. I mean, it kind of, when I read that last little bit, I thought about our janitor at our high school. I mean, he was the janitor, but, we'd come to school. He was also an artist. And we loved to see what Bob would have, written, drawn, the artist things. He did it all over the school. There would be, different things. And he put his mark, the Michelangelo, on the school. And that just kind of hit me when he said that, because I thought we looked at him more as an artist, and so talented than we did, he's just a janitor. So we all have that inner talent within us. And I'm all about, I know, we get sidetracked and some stuff, and I'm not perfect, but I know the rituals that get me through, to self-motivate me. And I'm right along with Stephen Chandler on this about the walking. That's my ritual. Like when I'm trying to figure out something, or when I'm trying, if I've got a problem, just trying to figure out how to move, my first ritual, I walk, and I always listen to my Bible. When I walk, that's the first thing, and I listen to something positive. And I listen to something of what I need to work on, what I feel like I need to work on. If it's better communication, if it's, how to pitch something, how to do something, I listen to what I need to for 20 or 30 minutes. And then I put on some fun music, and I just let my mind relax and think about what I need to do for the day. And, it just becomes, it's like the best medicine for me to get going. But I also know, just writing down, like if I need to make, it's just, I am the most productive when I write down, at least 3 things I want to accomplish, that day, like towards business, the 3 things, the 3 biggest things. And so at the end of the day, I feel like I really, got something done, and it's, it just really helps me. And this may sound like a crazy one. I'm just saying, like, my mind, it really sometimes has a hard time slowing down, because I'm always thinking, I'm always in this mode, and probably, never been diagnosed, but probably an ADHD person, because I constantly have stuff and I can't remember, so I have to take notes and what have you. But I think the walking slows me down. And, and so anyway, at night, it's like a lot of times I'll tell my husband, let's watch a movie. And he says, I don't know why we watch movies, because really 5 minutes into it, I'm sound asleep. And it's because I take my mind off everything, and I'm sad, it lets me shut my mind down because I'm thinking all the time. But sometimes you just have to figure out how to slow it down. And the walking is what does it for me, so that I can focus and get in my game. So, Chris, I'm going to throw it to you. I know you'll have some good stuff here.
Well, awesome. Well, first off, you had lots of good stuff, and as we read through the chapter, when I do the call, read through it a couple times the night before and then the morning. But when Patty's doing the call, I generally just read through it the once before the call. So as I was reading through it this morning, it was funny because I don't normally highlight a lot in this book, but what I had highlighted is what Patty repeated towards the beginning of the call, and I said, doing something is what leads to doing something. That's what stood out the most to me. And, I'm an overthinker. Sometimes I spend a lot of time overthinking, problem solving, things of that nature, but sometimes it's time for the rubber to hit the road. And, sometimes we can spend a lot of time getting ready to get ready is the way I've kind of heard it the term used before, and I definitely have a habit of that, getting ready to get ready, and sometimes you just have to do something in order to do something. And also the second thing that kind of stood out to me was the Martin Luther King Jr. quote, and it's remarkable, if we think about life in that way. There's actually a scripture about that, about doing things to excellence and serving God in all the things you do. And it reminded me of that, because no matter what you're doing, you should do it to an excellence. You should do it, using your full self, your full imagination, your full abilities, and choosing to be the best at it, to stand out of it. And I just love that janitor story from Patty's school. I was thinking that my janitor, I was like, man, my janitor wasn't an artist. I don't know much else about the janitor in my elementary school kind of growing up, as one that kind of popped into my head. But man, it would have been kind of cool if I would have known them for something else that they were good at like that. So I thought that was really cool. And Patty's a walker. Definitely heard that before, people kicking rocks around the block type thing, or just walking around the block. And mine is definitely driving. As a matter of fact, when we go on long trips, sometimes I feel sorry for Sarah, because I will, just daze out. I get into deep thought and deep, problem-solving thinking, things of that nature. And it's so funny how our minds can go into such a subconscious like routine, where it can operate almost without you thinking about it. My other thing, though, is if I'm driving and I get home and I've been talking on the phone, like I'll call Patty and have a good conversation. So I'll be talking on the phone as I'm driving, and I'll get home and I won't even remember which street I took home. It's like your mind just goes into autopilot and does its own thing while you're doing your other thing that you're actually putting focus and attention on. So I don't know all the science of it or anything like that, but I like the analogy about giving the one side of your brain something to play with while you use the other part to distract it. So I think that must be what driving does for me. It allows me to use that other side of my brain a little differently, because the other one's doing its subconscious thing. So other than that, I just learned a lot from this one. I don't know that I know a lot to help with it, but I am definitely going to work on some routines to get me out of the procrastination, overthinking thing, and to help get me into that action a lot quicker. So with that, I don't have anything else. So if Patty, you want to close it down, I'll unmute us and turn off the lines when you're ready, if you don't have anything else.
Well, no, I got to thinking as you were saying the driving thing, because I was going to say that earlier too, because driving would be my second thing. And, I've said on this call before that I used to be petrified to talk in front of people. I used to be scared to get on a phone call like this, but it was my drive time that got me over that. I would always listen to something, personal development, but I would give the talks like I was in front of the room, or that I was doing a call like this. I would practice, if somebody was seeing me, they were like, that girl's crazy, she's talking to herself. But even imagined myself on stage, giving these motivational talks, I would do that in the drive time. But it was always, drive time is my thinking time. And it's kind of funny because I'm getting ready to make a trip to Texas, and I was, so excited. My husband wants to go, but I'm like Chris, I'll zone out, because I'm thinking, but it's like, well, I can't talk out loud if he's with me on the trip, because he really will not get where I'm coming from. But it's that time when you can really, even in your drive time, get your master's degree in personal development by listening. But it has been that some of my best ideas have come through, and clearing your mind, because like Chris said and the book says, it's like when you're distracted by the other, your brain can be able to do something else. So I like that, Chris. So anyway, I'll let you go ahead and unmute the lines and close out.
Good job, Patty.
Thank you.